AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from downtown Baton Rouge.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It is AFR Live from the Raising Cane studio. Big round of applause. How about that? We have Cane 3 in studio with us. Very proud of our new partnership with Raising Canes. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Musso. And Mr. Toby Tom Blake. What in the world? Why? Get that off. What? Well, why? Turn that off. We're here. Glad you are as well. I look up in studio, and Ole Miss is beating LSU 17-10. I'm dead serious. Turn that off right now. It's just going to piss me off. Paul, whatever you're doing, I don't care. Stop doing it. Just turn that off, please. Dead serious. Okay. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Why? Like 4 remotes in here. Can't figure out which one turns on that TV. All right. We got a lot to do today. Tigers lose. Saints lose. Peter Burns in an hour. Sean Fazan in hour 3. So obviously, dead wrong. Loved LSU in this spot. Thought they'd win and win comfortably. Thought LSU is the more talented roster. Liked their opportunity to go on the road and get this win. All the things they're in. So I'll take all the darts. I deserve it. Wasn't the first time I was wrong. Won't be the last. So there's 2 things to talk about. One is the missed opportunities that cost you this game. Because my goodness, did you have opportunities to win this football game? And number 2 is the bigger picture issues that, if not resolved, will cost you more games down the road and leave us all really cranky by the end of November. Let's start with Saturday, okay? And the missed opportunities in this game. It was such a good start. Such a good start. A perfect start. Ole Miss wins the toss. They take the football. You hold them to 3 and out. They had not been held to a 3 and out since the game against you last year in Baton Rouge to start the game. They had not gone 3 and out to start the game since the game in Baton Rouge a year ago. Not only did you hold them 3 out in the first 2 series, 3 and out. All the things we talked about, Division II quarterback, not ready for Blake Baker's defense, all of that. Coming to fruition. Looks perfect. Right out the chute. Boom, boom. 3 and out. LSU on the second possession. First play of the second possession, Xavier Thomas. Boom, 50 yards. You're in business. Same thing. Their secondary can't cover. Arkansas put up 500 yards. All the narratives are spinning. Tigers get in the end zone. It's 7-0. They put together an 18-play drive and end up stalling for a field goal. And you're going, I'll give that up all day long. Okay. You want to dink and dunk your way down the field, 18 plays to settle for 3? Fine. That ain't going to be good enough to beat LSU, not with Ole Miss's defense. Talked about missed opportunities. My goodness. You're up 7-0. They get the field goal in the long drive at 7-3. You're right down the field again. Boom, 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 boom. You're at their 29-yard line at the start of the second quarter. And Garrett Nussmeier throws an interception. Horrible ball into coverage. When, by the way, LSU ran a double slant and Xavier Thomas was behind the safety. If Nuts just throws it back line into the end zone, Xavion runs under it, you're up 14-3, and they can't stop you. And the whole complexion of the game changes because Garrett throws it into coverage. Terrible decision, interception. I don't know that that's his torso injury. That's a bad decision. And after that, your defense gets a stop. And you trade punts, and then they start moving, and A.J. Halsey comes up with a massive play to force the fumble when it looked like they were going to go take the lead. And my goodness, what an opportunity. So you look up, and they get the ball with 6:49 to play in the first half. That offense, right? Lane Kiffin's offense has 3 points. 3 points. It's a 7-3 ball game with 6:49 to play until halftime. And they would score twice in those final 7 minutes because your offense couldn't get a first down. Your offense can't run the football. Talk about missed opportunities. Their first touchdown drive, you gave them 50 yards of penalties. 2 PIs, a personal. By the way, they held on first down. It's 1st and 20. West Weeks hits Chambliss late. So instead of second, and he's incomplete, instead of 2nd and 20 backed up deep in a set with a 7-3 lead, now they get 15 yards out of their end zone. Boom, boom, PI. They're right down the field. By the way, DJ Pickett's pick 6 gets called back. It was legitimate PI, but he didn't need to. Chambliss was rattled. Receiver was cutting in. Chambliss threw it to the boundary. Pickett stepped up. Would have been a pick 6 either way. Could have been 14-3. You start to piece those together and you go, my goodness, all of the opportunities. Missed opportunity at points with Nuss's interception. Missed opportunity to pick 6 there with Pickett's pick 6 after with the PI. You just had so many opportunities to take command of this game. Even after they score to go up 10-7, you get the ball at 4:53, and on the first play, and listen, you can criticize Joe Sloan, and we're going to talk about that here in a second, but give credit where it's due. 4-minute offense, 4:53, you're down 10-7, first play, beautiful design with everybody on Ole Miss's defense going to the left. Xavion Thomas catches the ball on the right. He is going to score. This is going to be an 80-yard touchdown, and he tight ropes the sideline and barely steps out by 3 inches? If he stays in bounds, 80-yard touchdown, house call, you got the lead right back. That place is silent. Instead, he's out of bounds. 3 plays later, you punt. And your defense, which is on the field for 49 plays in the first half because you can't run the ball, is right back out there. Credit Ole Miss. Beautiful 2-minute offense. They go score. It's 17-7 at half. I mean, the interception took away the possibility of 3 points. Xavion stepping out of bounds would have been a touchdown. Pickett didn't need to interfere. That would have been a pick 6. I mean, this could have been so much in your favor if you're playing a clean game, and you didn't. And then the second half was what it was. You had 2 short field opportunities where you settled for field goals instead of touchdowns. Nuss misses Hilton deep. And you still had a shot, and you allowed them to convert the 4th and 3 at the end of the game after Chambliss inexplicably went out of bounds. All that to say, I understand all of the bad, and we're going to talk about that because that's the bigger picture here. But even with all of the bad, you still had an opportunity to win this game. It was a 24-19 game. You lost by 5. I mean, you had opportunities to win this football game. But even if you had won the game, it would not have omitted all of the wrong. I say it all the time. Winning masks deficiencies, losing magnifies them. We are all today, after LSU lost, magnifying the deficiencies that some might explain away, like Brian Kelly tried to do after the Florida game when he yelled at Cobble. But the bottom line is, I think we all knew at the time that offensive performance was not acceptable. They were going to have to be better. I, hand in the air, was willing to say I understood being a little sluggish offensively against Clemson and Florida, being a little cautious, because that's what you had to do to beat those teams with really good defensive fronts. Make no mistake, Ole Miss is not a good defensive front, which shines a massive spotlight on how bad you were on the line of scrimmage, because other than Centarian Perkins, I don't know that there's anybody in that defensive front that's getting drafted. And you couldn't block them. Which brings you to the big picture issues. If you're sitting here today and you want to blame Brian Kelly because he didn't have this team ready to play, didn't have a good plan, whatever, fine, blame Brian Kelly. Yes. If you're sitting here today and you want to blame Joe Sloan because of this scheme, that put up 256 yards, 59 on the ground against a team that was the worst run defense in the SEC, allowing just under 200 rush yards per game on average. Yes, blame Joe Sloan. He deserves all the blame today. You want to blame Brad Davis because you got an offensive line that can't run block? Yes, blame Brad Davis today. That's fine. You want to blame the offensive line for not improving? You want to blame Garrett Nussmeier for bad decisions? Yes, everybody. There's tons of blame to go around. Wherever you want to lay it today, it's warranted. Ultimately, whoever you want to blame, I know this truth. LSU has got to find a way to improve on the offensive line because it is literally the thing that we have talked about since literally the first day of spring. I went back and checked today, practice report from March 12th, first day of spring. The first thing we looked at was who were the starting 5 offensive linemen. 5 new starters. By the way, Bo Bordelon was running with the first team at right guard the first day of spring. How about that? And DJ Chester was playing center. Mabenga was your left guard. Adams and Davis were the tackles, first day of spring. Went back and checked today. It was March the 12th. We've literally been talking about this thing since then. And people are surprised, but we have literally been talking about this thing since the first day of spring all the way through fall and now through the first month. You lost 5 starters on the offensive line. And the ones that you have playing right now are not playing nearly good enough for you to be able to be a complementary offense to a championship team. Because your defense is really damn good. And there's a lot of people looking at the yardage LSU. Yeah, when you're on the field for 84 plays, you're going to give up a lot of yards. They gave up 24 points. That defense giving up 24 points against Ole Miss should have been plenty enough to obliterate that. Arkansas scored on their first 4 possessions against, by the way, Arkansas, who just got the crap kicked out of them by Notre Dame, scored on their first 4 possessions in that stadium against that defense. That is a bad Ole Miss defense, comparatively, and you put up 256 yards and 19 points. You have got to figure out a way to get this offensive line improving and this run game going. Cole Kublik was here before the season, and I asked Cole point blank, hey, why couldn't LSU run the ball last year? Remember what Cole said? This is what Cole said on this show.
I don't think that offensive line could not run block last year. I don't think that offensive line was given a fair chance to be good run blockers last year.
By the way, Cole's whole point was you got to make a commitment to running the football. So far through 5 games, LSU has run the football 147 times. That is the fewest in the SEC. There are teams that have run the ball 140 times, a couple 125 times, but they've only played 4 games. LSU's played a full game more. Attempts per game, lowest in the SEC. You had 9 first-half rushing attempts against Ole Miss. Only 2 of them were running backs. Juwan Johnson had 1 carry for -1. Caleb Jackson had a 10-yard run on a 3rd and 20. And that was against the worst rush defense in the Southeastern Conference, and you didn't even try to establish the run. You've got to be able to run the football, and you've got to be able to protect Garrett Nussmeier. Ole Miss for the bulk of the game, and you don't have to be a football savant. You don't have to be sitting there breaking down X's and O's. Watch the game. Greg McElroy pointed out the whole damn game. Ole Miss was running 3- and 4-man fronts. Same thing Louisiana Tech did. Why? If LSU's not going to run against a 3- or 4-man front, drop 7-8 in coverage. You want to know why quarterback struggles? You got 3 or 4 receivers going out into a pattern, and I got 7 or 8 defensive backs. Every single guy going out on a route is double covered. Good luck. Why isn't anybody open? Thought these receivers were good. Everyone's double covered. Everyone. So why don't you run the ball? Because you can. Why not? Great question. Look, it didn't help that Weston Davis got hurt in pregame warmups, and you had a true freshman at right tackle. It didn't help that Paul Mabenga got hurt in the second drive of the second half. There is no excuse to be this bad. Like, again, I want to reiterate, Ole Miss was allowing nearly 200 rush yards per game. Kentucky ran it for $170 against them. Tulane ran it for $180 against them. You ran 20, You ran for 22 times for 59 yards. 59 yards. You have got to commit to running the football, or this will be a massive disappointment of a season. You have enough talent on both sides of the ball to be awesome, to be a playoff team, to win, to beat any team you play. Because look around the conference. Bama gets dump trucked by Florida State. They go to Georgia and win. Tennessee looks great at times. They needed overtime to beat Mississippi State. Where's the dominant team in the league? Where's the dominant team in the country? Oh, it was supposed to be Penn State. They just lost in overtime to Oregon. It's Ohio State. Ohio State got caught in a quagmire the opening week against Texas where they put up like 250 yards. Like, there is no dominant team, which is a great thing because you can improve and have great opportunity. But the key is improving. In a month into the season, I can't say that I've seen LSU's offensive line improve a lick. And if they don't get better and Joe Sloan doesn't commit to running the football, to take pressure off of Nussmeier, make defenses commit players to the box, all the things that are very natural and obvious, then you're going to win games, but you're not going to be a playoff team. And we're going to be sitting there in November with watching a 3-4 loss team and massively disappointed because of all of the hype around this team, the financial investment, and what could be if you play at your best. But they got to take this week off to get healthy and figure out a way that they can commit to running the football, because unless they do, you're going to see more of this. You'll win games. You'll have nice wins. You'll have really nice wins. Remember in 2022, Kelly's first year? Ugly against Florida State, got blown out by Tennessee. They also beat undefeated top 10 Ole Miss, beat Alabama. You'll have really good days, but there's not going to be enough really good days to get you the result you want at the end of the season. Unless if you figure out how to make some commitment to running the football. All right, we got a lot to talk about. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of the LSU Tigers. You can find Bud Light on the officially licensed LSU can or aluminum bottle. Also, if you're a Saints fan, official beer of the Saints, got those black cans with the gold fleur-de-lis. You'll find them at great local retailers. It's Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. All right, y'all. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. Saints fall to 0-4, but some encouraging things in the loss of the Bills. We'll talk about it next on AFR.
After further review.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident, not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. Of course, we're coming close to the holiday season. I'll be excited to tell you more about the bicycle giveaway when we get closer to that. Always love telling you about Gordon Gives, which is the charitable arm of Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Gordon's take has always been, he's been so blessed. He and his family have been so blessed, and he's such a genuinely good man and wants to give back to the communities that have given so much to him, his family, and all the people who work for Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. That's why Gordon Gives exists, the charitable arm of the law firm, to give back in so many ways. And yes, the G team, all the different NIL opportunities they do is a part of that. So you can learn more at GordonGives.com. GordonGives.com. Again, that's GordonGives.com. Of course, if you've been injured and it's not your fault, you know what to do. Go to GetGordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Kellen Moore met with reporters on Monday and actually shared a little bit of good news about a couple of injured tight ends. Here was Kellen Moore meeting with reporters on Monday with the update on Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill.
Only things to roster-wise, just to acknowledge is Taysom and Foster. They've opened up their practice window, so they'll be able to get back on the practice field for the first time this year. And then Caesar likely will be out this week, and we'll kind of take it week by week with him. So.
Well, we'll get updated on Ruiz after he was injured in Buffalo, but that's great news on Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill. Of course, Taysom suffered his really devastating knee injury at the beginning of December, and then Foster was in January, the last playing day, Week 18, in that game against the Bucs when he was injured. And there was a real question when you looked at the length of recovery from those injuries. At even if those guys would be able to return at some point this year, just considering when in the season it happened, their injuries happened. But that's fantastic news. So it's a 21-day practice window. They'll have 3 weeks now to be added potentially to the active roster, so you can sort of ramp them up, and then potentially you're looking at like week 7 maybe. We for a possibility of being added to the active roster and having the chance to play. So it's pretty exciting. If it continues to be Spencer Rattler at some point, if it's Tyler Shuck, to be able to get back a couple of really valuable offensive pieces in whatever capacity they may be able to help. So that's fantastic news. We'll keep you up to date and tell you more about that as we move through. Saints fall to 0-4. They lose to the Buffalo Bills on Sunday up in Buffalo. And there are no moral victories in the NFL. I'm not going to sit here and applaud you like the good job, good effort kid. But the thing that I'm going to say today is the thing that you're going to hear me say most Mondays when we come back and talk about the New Orleans Saints. Because most Mondays when we sit here and talk about the New Orleans Saints, it's going to be after a loss. Because as you've all clearly seen, and like we talked about all throughout the offseason, this is not a particularly talented or deep roster, and one that's just not going to win a lot of games. Okay. I accepted that fact many months ago, and am perfectly fine with accepting that fact that this is not going to be a season where they're competing for anything of substance, but it's an opportunity to learn what you have, what building blocks you have for the future. The reason last week was so disconcerting was because it felt like in the first 2 weeks you had shown some signs of competitiveness, and to go to Seattle and to be so wholly outclassed and to continue to make silly mistakes, double-digit penalties, the special teams gaffes that shows lack of preparedness, lack of discipline, and those sometimes can be rooted in bigger picture issues. Well, a lot of times in the NFL, teams, really in all pro sports, after they're embarrassed, you will see a great effort. And I think they went to Buffalo, a 16.5-point underdog, and gave themselves a shot. And maybe more than anything, it was encouraging because they played well after the awful showing against Seattle. And most importantly, they sort of reversed some of those ugly trends. For example, the penalties. After having double-digit penalties a week ago, only 4 penalties in this game. Now, it feels odd applauding pros for only committing 4. Like, good job, you didn't commit double-digit penalties, but there has to be progress. And so you saw some of that. And if you're just looking at the game itself, at the 9:01 mark of the fourth quarter, Spencer Rattler threw a pass to Brandon Cooks, which is initially ruled a touchdown. Now, it was overturned, and he was open, and Rattler missed him. A better throw, it's a touchdown. But if that stands, the New Orleans Saints would be leading the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo at the 9-minute mark of that game. That's pretty remarkable. Now, the Bills committed their first turnover of the season. The Bills committed 11 penalties, and they still scored 31 points and beat you by a dozen. Because the Bills are awesome. They might be the best team in the NFL. Like, think about what I just said. They played, by their standard, a pretty terrible football game and still scored 31 and beat you by a dozen. They're really good. So this is less about Buffalo, and it's more about the Saints. After falling down 7-0 and feeling like, here we go again, what an opening drive for New Orleans. The 18-yard touchdown run by Kendre Miller. I mean, Kendre Miller continues to be a real pleasant surprise running the football. 11 carries, 65 yards, an average of 5.9 per carry. He runs hard not only out of the backfield but in special teams as well. He has shown some of those flashes so far in the early going this season, which is really encouraging as we keep talking about, you're looking for cornerstone players. He's averaging 4.5 yards a carry this season. I'm not telling you need to stop traffic and throw a ticker tape parade, but for a guy that couldn't stay healthy, that's being a contributor for you now as a nice compliment to Kamara is a really good thing. And then after you scored, they went right back up 14-7. And then after that was the sack, the intentional grounding. It looked bad, but on that next drive from Buffalo, Jonas Sanker had a PBU and an interception on consecutive plays. Again, another young guy who we're looking at, as unfortunate as the Julian Blackmon injury was, this has given an opportunity for Jonas Sanker, who's making the most of it, which is awesome to see. So you're seeing a young guy who looks like a starting caliber player in the NFL, which is fantastic. Look, Pete Werner dropped an interception on the next drive, which could have set you up in a good spot. Special teams were improved. Kai Kroger hit a punt. You downed at the 1 yard line. You got a short field after that. Blake Grupe hit a 54-yard field goal after he missed 2 from 40 and in the first 2 weeks of the season. Look, I hated the call by Kellen Moore at the end of the first half to run the Philly special. It's 14-10. I know you're saying it's easy to say in hindsight. No. Circumstances matter. I'm going to take the points guy. Like, it's a 14-10 game, minimum 3 points there. By the way, at that point, you were also rushing the ball for nearly 6 yards a carry. It was third down. You want to go for it, run it twice. They haven't shown the ability to stop you. Run it twice. And if you don't, and you end up kicking the field goal, great. It's 14-13, and you're getting the ball to start the second half. And you could go kick a field goal, take the lead, flip the pressure on them. So I hated the call. Way too risky in that situation, considering Olave doesn't normally throw, and you only let that pass go if it's wide open, and it wasn't, and whatever. But, great response after falling down 21-10. You put together an 11-play, 65-yard touchdown drive. 7 of the 11 plays were running. You ran it right at Buffalo. It was a huge part of this game. You ran the ball 34 times for 189 yards, 5.6 yards per carry. It looked great having your starting offensive line out there and your ability to run the ball with Kamara and Kendre Miller. Like, you can build on that. Sanker and Miller, obviously we talked about. Only 4 penalties. The special teams were better, with the exception of Blake Grupe on the kickoff after you pulled within 2. And then Blake Grupe, oh my God, mishitting on the kickoff and giving them the ball at the 44 plays later there in the end zone. And then, Josh Allen called game after that. But there was real opportunity. Carl Granderson, a stop on 4th and 2 that gave you the ball near midfield. Like, you made some big plays in big moments and showed you could compete with a team that's maybe the best in the NFL. So, again, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that there's a moral victory because you played hard. They're pros. They should play hard. But I'm trying to keep realistic expectations in check for this season. And when I look at realistic expectations, I look at the Saints hosting the Giants this week and going, Jackson Dart coming into New Orleans. I know they won against the Chargers, but like, now they're without Malik Neighbors and rookie quarterback first road start. Saints coming home. Like, you can win that game. Like, the Saints can win the game on Sunday. I might pick them to win, actually, on Sunday. And you can look at those opportunities that if they play like this, will be there against teams that aren't the Buffalo Bills playing in Buffalo. So I'm encouraged. After Sunday. I didn't expect them to win. I don't think anybody did. I'm not like fist pumping because they covered a 16.5-point spread. But this is more at this point about, are we seeing growth and development and progress with this organization, with this coaching staff, with the young guys on the roster? And it's hard to look at Sunday and argue to the contrary. By the way, Cam Jordan also got his 124th career sack. Just as a tidbit, I tweeted this as well. If you look at the official sacks, which have been kept as an official stat since 1982, basically 125 sacks is the benchmark. If you get to 125 sacks, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. So Cam is 1 sack away from basically solidifying himself as a gold jacket status. So would love to see him keep ticking that up to leave no doubt. But that's something fun, maybe a little layer within the season to watch for the New Orleans Saints. All right, we're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. You can check them out online. Y'all, we're getting close to the holiday season. Gents, a lot of people pop the question around the holidays. If you're thinking of popping the question, get on by and see our friends at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, because at Lee Michaels, they have an amazing selection of diamond rings that will surely thrill her and make you the hero. They also have gifts for all occasions. If it's birthdays or anniversaries coming up, surprise someone with a gift in that red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, y'all, it is After Further Review, and we're glad you're hanging out with us here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Big shout out, by the way, to Brandon Holly, who was part of the Best Dressed Gala this past weekend in Baton Rouge, raising money for the American Cancer Society. Always proud of my guy and the Hollies and how much they give back to the community. A great thing this past weekend. It's after further review. Let's knock out a quick break. Y'all will go around the SEC when we come back. And, Sam Pittman has been fired. We've got the odds for who is likely to replace Pittman at Arkansas. We'll get to that next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark in the Renaissance. Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Of course, the Renaissance right there on Bluebonnet across from the Mall of Louisiana and Perkins Road. Such a great spot right in the heart of Baton Rouge, man. Most people, when they start giving directions to anywhere in Baton Rouge, it starts with, well, get on I-10. Well, if you want to go to the Renaissance, get on I-10 and get off at Bluebonnet. And if you head toward Perkins, you'll see the Renaissance right there on your right, kind of across from the mall and Perkins Row. Always a great time to pop in if you want to hang out at Tallulah, grab a business lunch, a glass of wine, a cocktail after work, indoor-outdoor flow at Tallulah in the Renaissance. Even though it's right there on Bluebonnet, the beautiful wall that kind of walls you off from the highway, and then the fire pit semicircular fountain is a great way to just go indulge and feel like you're stepping away from the city for a brief moment. And as we always say, whether it's Watermark or Renaissance, if you're thinking of hosting an event, they can host whatever type of event you have coming up. It's the Watermark and the Renaissance Baton Rouge.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Arkansas fired Sam Pittman on Saturday. That's no gigantic surprise. They were absolutely blasted by Notre Dame in a score that it was ended 56-14. It could have been a million times worse if Notre Dame wanted it to be. That was a week after Arkansas blew an 18-point lead on the road at Memphis. Interestingly, and Chris Marler wrote this over the weekend at LouisianaSports.net. I had somehow missed this or forgotten it, but the timing is interesting. So Sam Pittman's fired 2 games under 500 for his career at Arkansas. The interesting thing is, over 500, 2 games over 500. If the buyout clause is such that it drops dramatically if he were fired with a sub 500 record. So if they had just waited a couple of more games, a couple of more losses, then they would have owed Sam Pittman dramatically less. I don't have all the numbers right in front of me. Forgive me for that. But it's all up at LouisianaSports.net if you want to go read it. But so I think it's just interesting, the timing. They are going into their open date. But also, it feels like they're doing right by Sam Pittman to make sure that he gets his buyout money. Because they could have very easily just waited till the end of October, and this thing would have sort of naturally taken care of itself, and they would have saved a ton of money. But Arkansas made the decision they did. They fired Sam Pittman. Now the odds are out. We got this up at LouisianaSports.net as well, if you want to go check it out. The odds to replace Sam Pittman. Interestingly, Rhett Lashley is topping the list. He's got 3-1 odds. Followed by Ryan Silverfield, John Summerall from Tulane, G.J. Kinn, Gus Malzahn, Mike Gundy, yeah, right. Bobby Petrino at 9-1. Then some more long odds. Eric Morris, Jeff Traylor, John Gruden, Dan Mullins on the list. Dion is down there at 20-1. Lance Leipold, Barry Odom. Anyway, all that to say, it's going to be fascinating to see what type of interest Arkansas draws. Like, number one, there's no, if I'm Rhett Lashley, there's zero shot I'm leaving SMU for Arkansas. Like, SMU has shown they've got the financial commitment to build you a roster that can get you to the playoff. They did it in the first year. And you're in the ACC, which is inherently more winnable than the SEC. You're making financial commitment at the top of the ACC. Arkansas is middle-bottom tier of the SEC, which is the hardest league in the country. There's no shot. If I'm Rhett Lashley, I'm leaving SMU for Arkansas. Now, if I'm Lashley, I may leave SMU for Florida. Like, I think the only way Lashley leaves SMU is for like a top 10, top 15 job in the country where you can win a national championship. You can't do that at Arkansas. Their athletic director said as much. Jeff Long said as much. So, I'm sorry, Jeff Long. Hunter Yurachek. Whew. Jeff Long is not the athletic director there anymore. Hunter Yurachek said as much. So, and then the other part of it, too, is someone like John Summerall. I don't know if I'm John Sumrall. I'm leaving Tulane for that job. Because I think John Sumrall is going to have better options than Arkansas if he wanted them. It's just fascinating because it's just a different era. Because this era is all about who is making financial commitment into your roster to be able to compete within your league to get to the playoff. Arkansas is not doing that. Not at a level that's going to get you into the playoff. But it's an SEC job. It's a Power 4 job. And someone will leap at that opportunity. I just don't know. I just don't know. I'm fascinated to see what type of interest they'll draw and what type of candidate they land on. And it may end up being that Bobby Petrino gets his second go-round. See how he does here in the second half of the season. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor, kill other harmful pathogens. Parish Restoration, it's a patented, non-toxic dry fog treatment. You probably heard the commercial running we told you before. So Garrett Nussmeier is actually now doing an NIL deal with Parish Restoration because he's a customer. Garrett had mold in his home. He and his wife-to-be, his fiance, they bought a home. Home had mold. They called Jim Woodworth over at Parish Restoration, came in, sprayed that patented non-toxic dry fog treatment, and now they did an NIL deal with Garrett. So he's a happy customer. ParishRestoration.com, ParishRestoration.com. Home, commercial building, kill mold, remove odor, other harmful pathogens, sanitization. Check them out at ParishRestoration.com. That's ParishRestoration.com. Okay, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Arkansas Razorbacks.
We talked about Sam Pittman being fired, Bobby Petrino elevated as the interim head coach, and on Monday, Petrino started overhauling the staff. He's fired 3 defensive assistants, including defensive coordinator Travis Williams, defensive line coach Deke Adams, and defensive assistant Marcus Woodson. 56-13 home loss to Notre Dame. My goodness. We'll see if Petrino is able to make enough waves to keep that job on a full-time basis.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Alabama will be without a pair of outside linebackers moving forward. Kalen DeBoer confirmed that Quay Russaw suffered a broken foot. He'll miss extended time, but not season-ending. And outside linebacker Jamarian Latham will miss the rest of the season after undergoing surgery to address a neck injury he suffered in practice last week. That's an unfortunate injury. So hope all is well there with Jamarian Latham, scary with a neck injury. But big win for the Tide this past weekend, of course, at Georgia.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
Sooners landed 2027 four-star cornerback Mikhail McCrary, 5th member of Oklahoma's 2027 class, committed to OU over Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Arkansas, SMU, Houston Vandy, and others. He's the number 190 overall recruit in the country, the 18th best cornerback.
The Texas Longhorns.
Sark gave an injury update on running back Quintravian Wisner ahead of the Florida game with a hamstring injury. Said he's progressing really well. Stopped short of saying that he'd be available for the game in the Swamp. Chip Brown from Horns 247 reported last week Wisner and fellow running back C.J. Baxter both expected to be ready to go for Florida. We will wait and see.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
And Ole Miss flipped. Michigan commit and coveted 4-star cornerback Dorian Barney flipped from Michigan to the Rebs. Top 300 prospect, committed to Michigan in July, visited Oxford over the weekend. 6 foot, 170-pounder, committed to the Rebs. He's the 24th best corner for the 2026 class. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows. Windows door siding. Oh, yeah. They do shutters as well. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. All right, let's knock out a quick break. Every week, Muse, Paulie, and I give you 3 things that we're watching in the football weekend. We come back on Monday, tell you what we saw. We call it what we learned. We'll do it next to wrap up hour number 1 on AFR.
AFR.
Okay, I want you to do this with me. I want you to get out your phone. We're going to do this together, and we're going to punch in agent225.com, agent225.com. I want to do this because every time we do it, Darren tells me his website blows up. Agent225.com. I'm literally typing this in. Everybody who might want to sell your home, first you have to know, well, how much is your home worth? Well, Darren uses local market data to give you an accurate price for free, by the way. You don't even have to type in an email address and all that sort of stuff to sign up for anything. Just go to agent225.com. There's a home value tab right there. Type in your address, and then hit search. And in seconds, as quickly as you can type in your address, it'll tell you what your home is valued at with local market data, giving you an accurate picture of your home value. You want to sell your home? You need to buy a home? First, you might have to sell your home. That's where you start. Agent225.com. Agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
All right, we are wrapping up hour number 1, and glad to have you hanging out with us here. Every Thursday, Muse, Paulie, and I give you 3 things we're looking at going into the football weekend. We come back on Monday and tell you about it. Let's hit it.
We watched. Now, let's review.
All right, Muse, fire away.
Yeah, so it was Oklahoma's first game without Mike Gundy since 2004.
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State, yeah, excuse me. How would they look?
Oklahoma's a different program altogether.
Yes, a much better program. Yeah, if we're being honest. Anyway, you know what? They got a little bit of an interim bump. They scored the most points they did all season long. It was an 8-point game at halftime, and then they gave up 45 to end it, not in the second half, but their defense is bad, and that's why their defensive coordinator got fired today.
Paulie.
I was watching Oregon-Penn State. Oregon knocked off Penn State in overtime. It was a slow first half, 3-3 at halftime, but then Oregon went up 2 scores in the fourth. Penn State would rally back to tie it. First play of overtime, well, both teams score in the first overtime. First play of second overtime, Penn State 25-yard touchdown. First play of the
Oregon.
second.
Oregon, 25-yard touchdown.
Yeah, Oregon. First play for
Penn State, they threw the interception.
Threw the interception. Ball game over.
Yeah, it was Dylan Thieneman, by the way, the Purdue safety transfer that LSU wanted very badly. Can you imagine if Dylan Thieneman was on this defense with A.J. Halsey? I was keeping an eye on the Houston Texans. I know that sounds strange, but they were 0-3, trying to avoid an 0-4 start. They fancy themselves as a playoff team, and historically, teams that start 0-4 do not make the playoffs. No trouble for the Texans in a had-to-have-it situation. They blank the Tennessee Titans 26-0.
Arizona State and TCU on Friday night. This was a fantastic game, man. Sam Leavitt was awesome, especially down the stretch, especially running the football. Didn't turn it over. Was responsible for 3 touchdowns. How about the Sun Devils? Fell down 17-0, 27-7 the rest of the way for a comeback win.
Say it.
The unranked team over the ranked team. Yeah, I mean, every time, man.
It pushed.
I got it at 3.
But still.
Yep.
But still.
The Chiefs knocked off the Ravens 37-20. The Chiefs finally looked like their old selves for the first time this season. Mahomes had 270 yards passing, 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers. By the end of the game, the Ravens were missing 7 defensive starters, and most importantly, Lamar Jackson left the game with a hamstring injury. Ravens fall to 1-3 on the season.
Your boy was heavy on the Chiefs yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Paul, it's all the injury. Chiefs had to have it, and all the injuries for the Ravens defense had a really nice Sunday, thanks to the Chiefs. Thanks, Uncle Travie.
There was a backup quarterback in that game, too.
There was. We might get to that. You know when my guy...
Stop it.
My guy...
I shouldn't have done it.
When my guy... when old Coop, that's those of us who know him best. That's what those of us call him.
You don't know
there
him.
were 2 teams that were undefeated against the spread going into Week 4. They were the Chargers and the Colts, and both lost and both failed to cover.
Jackson Dart, debut. I didn't think it was going to go well at all against that Chargers defense. I'll be damned. It did. He was pretty good. Didn't turn the ball over. A couple touchdowns for him. Real story is the Giants defense. I mean, they shut down Justin Herbert in that offense. But, hey, man, 1-0. Good for Jackson Dart.
I was watching the return of Micah Parsons to Dallas. So this game had everything, all the makings of an instant classic that unfortunately ended in a tie. That's stupid.
Did you stay up?
I did.
Did you? Me too.
I did. Yeah, I was up.
Me too.
I was up.
Erica goes, it can end in a tie? I was
Yeah.
like, okay, Donovan McNabb.
Parsons was held in check the majority of the game. He did record 2 tackle assists, but the biggest play was the sack on Dak Prescott in overtime that saved the touchdown.
And finally, was watching Bama, Georgia. I was really hoping to come in today wearing spiked shoulder pads, but I don't know. Alabama has some voodoo spell on Kirby Smart. He's 1-7. By the way, Kirby, you're losing in the 4th quarter. You're at the 10-yard line. Tie the game.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Point something at him,
He
man.
just becomes like it's so weird. Great coach. They just got some voodoo over him. All right, there you have it. That's what we learned. We're brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics, OLOLRMC.com/LSU, OLOLRMC.com/LSU if you want to learn more. Of course, Garrett Nussmeier has an NIL deal with Our Lady of the Lake, and we're excited to tell you about many, many more coming through the pike. We'll have an opportunity to get a lot of those student athletes on the show with us as well in all different sports. But Our Lady of the Lake, interwoven with the fabric of LSU, not just LSU athletics, but also the campus there as they care for the students at the Student Health Center and everyday champions like you and me. It's Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Peter Burns, SEC Network, is going to join us coming up right after the top of the hour. Happy to be here in the Raisin Cane studio. We got Cane 3, the giant Cane plush there, is in studio with us. Hour 2 is coming up next. Don't you move.
AFR.
Thankfully, we have escaped hurricane season with relatively, virtually no activity. But as we've seen throughout time, you never know when that next storm may pop up. Could even be a snow or ice storm in Louisiana. So, if you're a business owner, what do you do when the power goes out? What do you do? Well, you call Arco Power Systems. I want you to remember this, write it down, punch it into your computer, bookmark it, or call them right now. ARCCO, ARCCO, ARCCO. It's arco.com, ARCCO.com, arco.com. They're on Airline Highway in Baton Rouge, but y'all, they have offices all over the Southeast. They have offices in San Antonio, Mobile, north to Little Rock, and everywhere in between. Your business needs an industrial Generac generator. You want Arco Power Systems. Arco.com.